0 people like you. Hey, send out 500 likes and you get 0 back.
Dating apps are not in the business of helping you find love. They're in the business of making money.
No matter what Hinge says, they definitely categorize people as hot and ugly, and I inevitably always end up in the ugly bucket.
A perfect example of this that we saw just a few days ago was Tinder announcing a height filter. So he has a picture of himself photoshopped in Times Square. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. If that doesn't convince you to get off the apps, then I just don't know what will. Dating apps haven't always sucked. When Tinder was released in 2012, people were actually finding success. Dating apps became popular because they gave you a way to date even when you had a busy schedule. You could swipe in your free time and potentially have a date ready by the weekend. But the biggest reason that dating apps took off and became what they are today is because they worked. People were going on dates, they were meeting potential partners, they were getting engaged, and they were getting married. We saw thousands of success stories coming from Tinder and coming from Hinge until one critical moment. Match Group acquires Tinder in 2017 and Hinge in 2018. Match Group is a publicly traded company that has acquired over 45 dating brands. Tinder, Hinge, The League, Plenty of Fish, Match.com, OkCupid, the list goes on. Notably, it seems the only dating app to resist Match Group is Bumble, having declined a $450 million buyout. Since Match Group is a publicly traded company, it has a legal obligation to its investors to continue showing growth every quarter. Taking a play from the Silicon Valley playbook, it basically starts taking away all of the features that made the app successful and made people want to use it and put all of those features behind a subscription. And we saw how Match Group did this to Tinder. Tinder previously only had a 1-tier subscription service and it was opt-in. You could still use the app without buying the subscription and the app still worked. But then we started seeing all of these like gamification things coming into the app and more features being put behind a subscription. There is a clear conflict of interest with these dating apps. If they do actually help you find love, then they have effectively lost 2 active members. 2 active members, by the way, that could possibly be paying for a subscription. I found Match Group's 10K form. Now, if you're not familiar with this form, this is a comprehensive annual report that publicly traded companies have to file with the SEC. As we can see, this form was filed in 2024, and it shows Group Match as the parent company to dating apps like Tinder, Hinge, Black, so on. Because these annual reports are filed with the SEC, they are public information, and so I was able to go through and find some interesting details. Under the section of risk factors, it says, risks relating to our business. If we fail to retain existing users or add new users, or if users do not convert to paying users, our revenue, financial results, and business may be significantly harmed. I don't know how much more clear people need to hear that dating apps are not in the business of helping you find love. They're in the business of making money. They're in the business of exploiting your loneliness. They're in the business of keeping you single because they need you to stay on the app for longer. Because the moment you go off, you are no longer a paying customer. You're no longer contributing to their revenue or their financial results, and you're harming their business. These dating apps have to keep you on the app to make money off of you, and the biggest way that they make money off of you is with subscriptions. For those that are listening in, this woman is responding to one of her comments that says, the way they tell you there's 100 people waiting to match you when there is no possible way.
Is this what you're talking about? 1,500? No, that's not. No. Wait, what's sketchy is that it says 950 are nearby. Like, what's nearby?
Basically, what this woman is saying and what a lot of people say about this is that they tempt you. They put this large number of likes because maybe you're going onto the app and you're not making a lot of matches. And then they tempt you. They say, oh, look at all these people that have liked you. Upgrade to premium to see who liked you. Many users claim that after they pay for this to actually see how many people liked them, it's nowhere near the number that they actually showed them.
Okay, so I've personally sworn off dating apps like a while ago. But how desperate are we to find love? Because these dating app like membership prices are outrageous. Somebody told me about this one like dating app for entrepreneurs and I was like, okay, let's maybe check it out. $60 a week? $25 a month? No, wait, per week. 1 week, This is every week for a month.
When we look, it says for 1 week, you pay $59.99. Unless you subscribe for a month, then each week will be $24.99. So you're still paying for a month, but they're going to lower the cost of each week. And then for 3 months, it is $16.66 per week. Obviously, they are trying to get you to still subscribe on a monthly basis, but this is their way of addressing Gen Z saying that, hey, we can't afford these subscription prices. And instead of lowering the price altogether, they're simply making it confusing by breaking down the weekly price, but still in a monthly subscription. I was curious about Bumble's pricing because back in the day, I used Bumble. That was my favorite dating app, and I feel like I had a lot of success on the app. I was curious, how different is the experience now? And it is shockingly different. Bumble has 2 subscription models, which I was completely unfamiliar with. And so for 1 month, they're trying to sell you this subscription for $16.33. And it's a bit confusing, right? Because when you look at this, you would think, oh, 1 month, $16.33 per week, then that looks like a lower price. But in actuality, 1 month is still $69.99. That is crazy expensive. I mean, compare this to Netflix, right? Like with Netflix, you're guaranteed to get TV shows and movies. You may not like them, that's beyond the point. You're getting what you're paying for. With this, if you paid for 1 month at $70, you're not guaranteed to match. You're not guaranteed to go on a date. You're not guaranteed to find a potential partner. And forget the fact that if it does lead to a date, right? Like how much money have you already invested into the app? How much money do you then have to invest on going on a date? And how many of those dates actually lead to a relationship, right? Like that's so much money that you're asking of people. We now have lifetime access to Bumble for $299, no subscription. Why is a dating app company selling a lifetime access to a dating app? Make it make sense. It is so clearly about getting your money. Dating apps have a user base of roughly 65% men and 35% women, with Tinder specifically seeing a 78% male user base. The way that men have primarily been exploited in these dating apps is through access. Super likes are a clear example of the dating apps using access to exploit men, because the men who were willing to pay to super like a woman's profile gained a competitive advantage over the men who maybe weren't willing or able to pay for such access. When women would then open the app, that was the first profile she would see, and maybe she would be more willing to match with that profile. At least that's what Tinder told you. Tinder advertised a 3 times higher chance of a match and 70% longer chats when super likes were used. But research actually shows that the top 1% of star spenders had a match rate of 1.94%. However, the men who did not pay had a match rate of 2.63%. Even if you were willing to pay to super like someone, you had a less likely chance of matching with that person than someone who didn't even pay.
Going through a breakup, all that's happening. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm the ugliest person alive. I get on Hinge. It's like, there's literally 0 likes. That feels really good. When you open up the Hinge app every day and it's like, hey, 0 people like you. Yeah, that feels good. Hey, this one person liked you, but they don't even live in New York City. Hey, send out 500 likes and you get 0 back. But if you pay us $50 a day, we'll throw you up to the top of the line, and still only 2 people will like you. And your first initial reaction will be like, I mean, I guess. Welcome to Hinge. It's an absolute nightmare.
It's clear that these dating apps are targeting men for access, but I feel like what's not talked about enough is how they use microtransactions to slowly pull you into the sales funnel. So it will start with something like boost your account. It's way easier to optimize their marketing towards you to get you to go ahead and subscribe because you've done the microtransaction, your card is on file, it's just one click, accept. And the super likes are one thing, right? They're targeting men with these super likes, but also what they're doing with these super likes is using it as a way to filter out who are the most attractive women. Women's profiles get super likes. They're also analyzed by an algorithm, and they're like, this woman is very conventionally attractive. Use this woman to bait all of these men. And so essentially they take her profile and just throw it to the masses of men, hoping that men see that profile and think, wow. And of course, the men who sign up to try to get her attention, they're not guaranteed success. And these dating apps don't have to take responsibility for not delivering on what they promised. They can blame you, the male user, well, maybe your profile didn't entice her enough. Or they can blame it on the woman and say she just didn't like your profile back. It takes all of the responsibility off of them and puts it on the users themselves, even though the user only signed up because they're reading these statistics that Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble are telling them to entice them to buy in. At this point, you may be thinking, but women can also buy super likes or boosts or all these other features for access, and that's true. That's exactly the same argument that these dating apps use when people say you're exploiting men. They say, oh, but we sell these features to women and we sell them to men. However, the research shows women do not buy them. Women are far less likely to pay for these microtransactions because they are the scarcity on the app. Well, that was the case until these dating apps started creating artificial scarcity to also target women.
Being ugly on Hinge in reference to how bad I feel when I use dating apps. I find every time I get on Hinge, which is not a novel concept, but for some reason I always think it's going to be different for me, my self-esteem goes through the floor. Anyone that I like does not like me back. And anyone that likes me makes me wonder why, in what world, we would be a match.
While I think she could have said that in a nicer way, what these women are experiencing now is when they open the dating app Hinge, they are seeing profiles that they deem unattractive in comparison to their own attractiveness level. And now research does show that we are pretty good at ranking our own attractiveness, our perceived attractiveness, and finding partners that kind of match that perceived attractiveness. I think her experience is touching on how these dating apps are now exploiting women. While the men are exploited with access, women are now being exploited with filtering options. If a woman logs into her dating app and sees all of these potential matches that she wouldn't pick for herself, she can subscribe and gain access to multiple filtering options that give her a sense of control over her potential matches. A perfect example of this that we saw just a few days ago was Tinder announcing a height filter. Now, men were very upset about this, and I can understand why, because height is just something you can't change. You're just born that way. But height tends to be something that women look for in potential partners, and so they added it to their Tinder Platinum where you can now filter by height. Because again, they're targeting women with control over their matches.
What the actual hell is going on Hinge? I just re-downloaded the app after many, many months. I have never successfully had a Hinge date. Let me throw that out there now. No matter what Hinge says, they definitely categorize people as hot and ugly, and I inevitably always end up in the ugly bucket. Everyone who Hinge sends me, not what I've told them my type is. I've given them no impression under any circumstances that I would be interested in these people. It is scary out there.
As she said, Hinge is showing her profiles that she just wouldn't interact with these people in the real life. Now, regardless if that's about appearance or just lifestyle, right? I mean, let's be honest, like we want a certain lifestyle and people either match that or they don't. It's interesting that she used the word scary to describe her experience on Hinge because women already feel safety concerns by using the dating apps. The way dating apps try to eliminate this feeling is by giving women access to filtering options to make them feel like they're in control. But again, all of these filtering options are behind a subscription. Once Hinge started implementing this algorithm, it became very clear to women that something weird was going on. And they took to TikTok, to Instagram to talk about this experience, and it became such a big thing that the CEO needed to respond to the backlash.
Another topic I hear often, especially among the TikTok set, we'll call them, is that Hinge has an attractiveness score. Is that true?
We don't really have an attractiveness score. For every single person, we have a sort of individualized taste profile of who you like and who likes you back. We look at who you've liked and who's liked you and who you've passed on and who's passed on you. That just gives us a sense generally using machine learning to understand like generally how likely are you to like someone and how much is someone likely to like you back.
He claims they don't have an attractiveness algorithm, but then he goes on to say, we use machine learning to track how many people like your profile and if you like those profiles back. Basically, all the interactions profiles are getting, which would lead the company to know which people are closer to this definition of attractiveness, which in and of itself is an attractiveness score.
I need whoever created the TikTok algorithm, those people, I need them to create a dating app. Because the way the TikTok algorithm has us find each other, the way it matches my unhinged thoughts to the next person's unhinged thoughts, like it's chef's kiss.
It's interesting that she says this because that's what it used to do, right? Before the subscriptions and exploitations of the subscriptions, that's why everybody started using the apps, because the apps worked. They did match people. When dating apps started taking off, we started to see the rise in catfishing, or people claiming to look one way and then looking completely different. You may remember the show Catfish having a lot of material to use in their show. However, fast forward to 2025 and we now have AI phishing. People are using AI for their dating apps.
Recently, I went on a date with this girl that was using photos on Hinge that were 4 or 5 years old. And the photos that weren't old were clearly AI generated. That means you're okay with starting off whatever potential relationship we could have on a lie.
It says, using AI to improve my Tinder profile. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. This is crazy. So he has a picture of himself photoshopped in Times Square, and he photoshops himself in front of this like mansion, and it has a G-Wagon and a Bentley and a Ferrari, Lamborghini, all these types of cars. He's trying to present an image of that he's super wealthy basically, and that he's well traveled. But if you're not actually those things, then you're matching on false pretenses, and then why would these women want to date you? And if they go out on a date with you and you don't look and dress that way, if you're not wearing an iced out Rolex, why would they continue on the date with you? I was curious, what are these people using? So this is Tinder profile AI, better photos, more matches, 50,000 plus happy singles. Isn't that what people are trying to avoid? They don't want to be single. That's why they're using your product. Why would you word it that way? It doesn't make sense. In 15 minutes, our AI generates over 100 realistic and high-performing photos designed to get more likes and dates. And then notably, it's all generated photos of men. So they are targeting men, which again, gross. Why exploit men? Then we get to the testimonies, which you can tell they're auto-generated, like this is not real. I was skeptical at first, but wow. This one is so funny because it's like, why did they include a woman in your photo? Like, that's super confusing for women. Like, who is this woman? Is that your sister? Is that your ex-girlfriend, your ex-wife? Doesn't make sense. Then for the About Me section for the dating app profiles, people are using yourmove.ai. Let our dating expert AI write you a match-winning Tinder bio. Our free Tinder profile generator finds the perfect words to showcase your personality, make your profile stand out, and get you up to 3x more matches. This isn't authentic. Like, you're going to write something that may not actually be you, and then when someone meets you, they're like, wait a minute. Like, you're not really like I thought you would be based on what you wrote in your profile. Why use Your Move's AI Tinder profile generator? Get more matches than ever before. Our bio generator helps you attract more matches with a bio that's actually engaging. Maybe engaging, but is it actually you? Our AI knows what works best. Trained on thousands of bios, our bio generator makes bios that sound natural and engaging. Okay, you're trained on thousands of bios. How do you know those bios led to matches? That doesn't make sense, right? Like, how can you claim that someone's going to get much better results if you're not using profiles that have gotten better results? If that doesn't convince you to get off the apps, then I just don't know what will. Despite what these apps may try to sell us on, it is clear that they are exploiting our loneliness. They are exploiting the gender differences that they see to try and get people to subscribe and make money off of users. And despite saying things like our app is designed to be deleted, if we did in fact delete the apps, it would cause significant harm to their business. So what can we do about it? Well, I think the first thing is recognizing that the dating apps don't work. And if they don't work, we need to delete them and try something new.
He swiped 2 million times, which turned into one date. What's the honest advice that someone like him needs?
I would not spend my time discussing what you're doing on the app. I would discuss what you're doing off the app, and if you ever are even off the app. The amount of hours of swiping that you've done, obviously this is not yielding anything. Why are you continuing? Have you gone to places where you are more likely to meet people? Please try something else.
I think we should all be trying something new, whether that be a new hobby or joining a new group, like a running group, something that gets us out into our community around like-minded people. As she said, I think we should be looking at what can we do off the app. So much time is spent thinking about how much the apps suck and how they're not leading to actual dates or actually finding love. But what are we doing off the apps? And maybe it doesn't even have to be a new hobby. Maybe it's just going out into the wild and seeing someone and approaching them. I know there's a large fear of rejection. I've been rejected. It's kind of just life, right? That's social interactions with other people. You're going to be rejected, but you learn from that and you don't let it stop you. Imagine if you're at a bookstore and you see someone who's attractive. Why not give them your phone number? And it doesn't even have to be in a weird way. Just kind of like write your phone number down and hand it to them and then walk away. I wouldn't stand and watch them. There's a way to not make it awkward. Then it's all on them. Do they want to respond? Do they want to reach out to you? And I know people are going to say, oh, it's dangerous to give your phone number out. Not really. People put so much sensitive information on the internet. That is the more dangerous part than giving out your phone number to someone. And I want to show you.
I have to tell you about some incredible sleuthing that I did to find the name of my date tonight. Now, what I noticed that he's kind of a little runner boy, and so I looked at his bib number, which was in the photo that he showed on his profile, and I typed up the marathon and I put in his bib number and saw his race results. Honestly, he's a really fast runner, but it also gave me his first and last name. They made it so fucking easy.
I just want to read you some comments on this video. One time I reversed image searched a guy's college baseball photo, like he's on the field, to get the name of the school. Went through every roster until I found him and looked him up on IG. He was married. I found this one girl had multiple DUIs and I was like, no. First name plus job for LinkedIn, or look up the roster for their team if they play a sport. I just want to illustrate how easy it is to find people online already. So if you're on a dating app and you're putting your information out there, or even your social media, right? There's so much sensitive information that you're possibly completely overlooking. So it is almost harmless to give out your phone number because chances are your information's already out there. Data breaches happen all the time. So now that we've gotten it out of the way that you can in fact hand out your phone number and it's not that big of a deal, let's look at what can happen if you do. Took all my courage and gave a guy my number. He texted me within 20 minutes and told me he wanted to ask me for my number but didn't know how and when could he take me out for dinner. You're not gonna find him on Hinge, ladies. We've outsourced human connection to companies who profit from our failure to connect. There is a clear conflict of interest when these companies claim to help us find love, but also need to increase their revenue each quarter. Each swipe makes them richer and leaves you lonelier. Maybe it's time we stop playing their game. Thank you for spending a portion of your day with me. I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.
So dating apps aren't working, so time to act confused in a Barnes & Noble.
If somebody asked me on a date to a bookstore and bought me a book, that'd be it. I'd be a goner.
If I was in a bookstore and a man offered to buy me a book, I would actually kiss him on the mouth.
What's up, ladies? Who wants a book? Raise your hand. I'm only picking one. Fight for it. Fight for the book. No.